YouTube, what's up?
Blow a kiss from your chin. That's thank you, dear. Touch your fingers together.
What's up?
More is here. Move your hands side to side. That's all done. Hands are a language for everyone. Our hands can talk, our hands can sing. They can say almost anything. Like colors in the air, they shine. We're learning how to sign. Our hands can talk, our hands can sing. They can say almost anything. Like colors in the air, they shine. We're learning how to sign. Inside. We sign. We sign. We sign.
What's up? What's up? Still trying to get everything situated. Make sure I can see all the comments and stuff. But yeah, today I'm just mixing a children's song. It's by It's Circle Time, children's YouTube channel that I've been working with for years now. My friend Dom runs it along with Sarah Sunshine. And this is their new song that I'm mixing. It's called Learning to Sign. And the cool thing about them, I think this is what really sets them apart, is that they do teach sign language to young children. And it's really dope. So I think this is going to be another iteration of that, where they're teaching young kids how to use sign language and learn sign language and to communicate before their voices are developed and they can really speak. And that's really cool. So it's it's a great honor to be able to just be a part of the project, be a part of the team, and shaping and molding the youth through music. And I think it's really dope that we get to do that. So today I'm really just working on the mix. I'm just gonna show a piece of the process. There's nothing specific I'm really highlighting, but you're just gonna basically just a day in the life of mixing and mastering songs like this. So with the children's music, I do try to make it like these days, like, you know, as you can see with Golden and stuff like that, things need to hit and they need to be big and powerful. So it's even with the kids' music. So I like to do that, make it just like a pop record, but not like a hip hop record or something like crazy where it's like banging through the speakers. You want it to hit just well enough, but also be super pretty. This is a slow, kind of pretty Afrobeat type of song. And I'm just going to try to lean into the vibes of it and just make it sound better. So first of all, first step, right now I'm highlighting all the instruments. I'm bringing them in one by one, just trying to get like a general level on them. And then I'll go through and try to mix them with EQ and compression and stuff. So right now we're just getting general volume, and I got a few more instruments to go. Making sure my volume's not too loud too while I'm doing this part. I think with general mixing, with general volume tweaks, I like to just do it on a very moderate level, not too loud, not too soft. So yeah, I'm only touching the volumes and the pan knobs for this part of it, and then later I'll go through with the EQ and the compression.
If you wave your hand, you're saying hello. Cross your arms like a hug. That's thank you, dear. Touch your fingers together. More is here. Move your
What's up, George?
Kiss from your chin, that's thank you, dear. Touch your fingers together, more is here. Move your hands side to side, that's all done. Hands are a language for everyone. Our hands can talk, our kiss from your chin, that's thank you, dear. Touch your fingers together, more is here. Move your hands side to side, that's all done. Hands are a language for
If you're just joining me, I'm working on the mix on this children's record, trying to get the volume balance and the pan balance together before I start diving into the mix. So right now I'm just turning these channels on one by one and getting a general mix on it with volumes and panning.
hands side to side, that's all done. Hands are a language for everyone. Our hands can talk, our kiss from your chin, that's thank you, dear. Touch your fingers together.
What I like to do, I like to leave the high frequency stuff for the end. So right now I'm working on all the mid-range instruments. So all the instruments that are going to occupy the mid-range space and the vocals, which are also going to occupy a lot of the mid-range space. So I just want to make sure those two are really balanced well before I move on to the high frequency cymbals, hi-hats, chimes, the stuff that comes in once in the song, like in the snapshot. Those are usually pretty easy to do. So I'm going to save those for the end and get this mid-range stuff first.
Kiss from your chin, that's thank you, dear. Touch your fingers together, more is here. Move your hands side to side, that's all done. Hands are a language for everyone.
So I can't really hear this lead that well, so I'm going to pan it off left a little bit. And usually with lead instruments, we can pan them without major issues. And then it's also, I can tell that it's the exact same signal on the left and the right, so it was exported directly in the middle. So I'm gonna consolidate it to a mono signal because it's basically the same on each side, so it is a mono signal. And I'm just going to make it mono by pressing this button, and then I'm gonna pan it off.
Kiss from your chin, that's thank you, dear. Touch your fingers together, more is here. Move your hands side to side.
I can hear a lot better that way.
Hands are a language for everyone. Kiss from your chin, that's thank you, dear. Touch your fingers together, more is here. Move your hands side to side, that's all. Kiss from your chin, that's thank you, dear. Touch your fingers together, more is here. Move your hands side to side, that's all done. Hands are a language for everyone.
It seems like the producer whoever produced it did which I think is mostly Dom. He did a good job balancing things. So because a lot of the sounds sound pretty good volume wise where they're at. I'm just tweaking a little bit, 1 dB here and there, just in my studio and my setup and my ears is how I hear it. I'm not trying to change too much because he already kind of had it how he likes it. And I'm just gonna try to get a rough balance in here before diving into the EQ and the compression and all that stuff. All right, so we got a few more instruments to go, and then I'll start doing the high frequency stuff.
Nod your head up and down if you mean yes, but shake your head gently when it's no. Our hands can talk, our hands can sing. They can say almost anything like.
Had to make sure I'm hearing the right thing. Okay. Option S will allow you to just highlight whatever region and solo it, which is pretty cool. I didn't record this one, but I did set up their recording system for them when I went to. I think they live somewhere near Monterey, so I took a trip out there and helped them set it up.
Nod your head and need to know. Our hands can talk, our hands can sing. They can say almost anything. Like colors in the air, they shine. We're learning how to sign. Our hands can talk, our hands can sing. They can
Okay, I think the marimba is just a little loud. I'm gonna turn it down just a little bit. And another thing, if you noticed, I have no reverb and no delay on my vocals right now. I'm gonna save that to the end. So I like to get it sounding really good dry first, and then add some space to it. So it's cool to EQ and all that stuff without hearing all the extra delays and reverb. You just get a better understanding of what the raw signal sounds like. All right, so I got marimba. Let me check that again.
hands can sing. They can say almost anything. Like colors in the air, they shine. We're learning how to sign. Our hands can talk, our hands can sing. They can say almost anything. Like colors in the air, they shine. We're learning how to sign.
All right, I think this clap is like the last mid-range instrument. Everything else is high frequency.
Blow a kiss from blow a kiss from
And since the claps are like kind of in the 2K-ish range where they're the loudest, I can turn it down a bit and we'll still be able to hear it pretty well. And for me, I'm listening to it in reference to the percussion instruments that are also happening in that same frequency range. So I don't want it to be like super loud in comparison to those. I just want it to be like heard, audible. I might change this clap sound too, maybe later. They allow me to do a lot of production changes in their songs as well. So they trust my ear. So we'll see if I later on if I decide to change that. I just need to hear everything in full context and full mix, and then I try to make changes, because unless I hear something that's like really dope like this I heard earlier where I muted these instruments here because it just sounded cooler for the verse coming in by itself like that. And yeah, hopefully they dig it too. But as I'm mixing, I'll go through and just do small little production things here and there. Okay, so we got that. Let's see what this other production loop sounds like. Let me solo it, Option S. Okay, it's like some lo-fi drums with a delay. Okay, I'm just gonna put this subtly in the mix. So let's see what that, let's get a good volume on that.
hands can sing. They can say almost anything. Like colors in the air, they shine. We're learning how to sign. Our hands can talk, our hands can sing. They can say almost anything. Like colors in the air, they shine.
Okay, I feel like if it's too wide, it's gonna get kind of messy with the piano that's going on and the pad. So I think I'm gonna bring it in a little bit. And like, again, if you're just joining, I'm really just doing volume edits and panning edits. So I just want to make sure everything sits in a good volume and sits in the sonic spectrum in the field well, the stereo field. All right, so we got the width here. I like to use S1 Imager by Waves, and I can control how wide and narrow I want this loop track to be. So I'm gonna just turn it up just so we can hear it well, and then I'm gonna turn it back down.
Hands can sing. They can say almost anything. Like colors in the air, they shine. We're learning how to sign. Our
That feels decent. Yo, yo. What's up? What's up? If you got any questions, let me know in the chat. Let me know. If you got any questions, you want to know why I'm doing what I'm doing, ask away. Okay. And then I got a few more instruments down here. I don't know what they are exactly. Vox 1, Vox 2. Let's see what they are. They might be in the wrong place. Let's see. Option S to highlight to solo it. Okay, it's like a ambient synth vocal, and this one is what? Okay, since it has a note on it, both of them have notes. I'm gonna move them to a different track. I like to keep all my tonal instruments on one bus. So I'm gonna move this Vox 1 and Vox 2 up here because they're instruments, not really vocals and not really effects. And let's tackle those as well, volume wise, because they're basically mid-range instruments. Another thing I like to do is to mute the drums while you do this balance, because the tonal instruments, them being balanced together, is like very, very, very key to a good mix. Honestly, I like where that vocal pad sits. That sounds pretty dope. So I'm just gonna leave it there, and then we'll check the second one. It kind of gives it just some extra pad depth, so it doesn't really need to be super audible. It just needs to feel good in that space.
Hands can sing, they can say almost anything. Like colors in the air, they shine. We're learning how to sign. Our hands can talk, our hands can sing, they can say.
Okay, this one's more like a lead. I can have fun with this one. I'm thinking, shoot, I could bounce it around. I could go boom, doom, 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 or I can just keep it wide to keep it away from the vocals, lead vocals. Let me just sit with it and try a few things.
Hands can sing, they can say almost anything. Like colors in the air, they shine. We're learning how to sign.
I think I kind of want a right to left or a left to right type of panning situation going on with this. So I'm good. In order to do that, I'm gonna use Pan Man by Sound Toys. My default is a pendulum pan left and right, or right and left. So I might could get away with using that. Let me see.
Hands can sing, they can say almost anything.
Okay, I like it. I just want to soften it. I want to smooth that up a bit, and I want it to go a little faster. So maybe turn the rate up, but I want to do it in steps, not steps, in time, which would be rhythm step. Yes. Okay, quarter notes. Let's try that. But it says BPM is 120. Our BPM is really 87. I think I can type that in. Yep, typed it in. All right, let's see what that sounds like now.
Hands can sing, they can say almost anything. Like colors in the air, they shine. We're learning how to sign. Our hands can talk, our hands can sing, they can say almost anything. Like colors in the air, they shine. We're learning how to sign.
All right, that's pretty cool. So it's going right to middle to left and back again. But since it's it's in time with the music with this BPM 87, it's gonna be the exact same every single time. So it's not gonna be like right to left this time and then left to right next time. It's gonna be the exact same each time, which is what I kind of want. I don't want it to be distracting in the music. Just something fun to do. We can still hear the sound and it still bounces around and gets away from the vocal. So right now we have all the mid-range and the bass elements of the song playing at the same time. Only thing missing in the mid-range is like the claps and snares, but that's fine. Okay, so let's keep going with that.
Hands can sing, they can say almost anything. Like colors in the air, they shine. We're learning how to sign. Our hands can talk, our hands can sing. They can say almost anything. Like colors in the air, they shine. We're learning how to sign. Inside.
Okay, at the end we got some more elements coming in, so let's make sure there's room for every element in the song. I wanted to turn down this vocal synth as well. It was a little bit loud. All right, that all sounds good. Now I'm just gonna do the high frequency stuff. I'm gonna add it to the mix. So one by one, I'm gonna go through all these cymbals and hi-hats and swooshes and downshifters, risers, all that stuff, atmosphere. A lot of them just come in periodically throughout the song as well, so that's good. I can just really just fast forward to where they play, and that's why it's a good idea to clean up all this dead space in your regions. There's a quick way to do it and a slow way. I like to still kind of do it the slow way because I like to chop my regions up the way I want them chopped and not the way the computer wants to chop them, which is by pressing Control X. Sometimes it works, like this is cool. If I press Control X, it'll clean up all this dead space, but sometimes it gives me a chop that I don't really like, but these are all cool. Tambourine should be playing all the way, yep, at the end. Okay. All right, let's add the high frequency elements. Hey, thanks, Lady Flo. Appreciate it. Now I like this too. Sounds pretty dope. All right, here we go. I'm gonna add the cymbals first. So let's go with crashes. A little loud. What I like to do is just do really short loops, because when it comes in is really the time you want to judge the volume the most, is when the new element is introduced in the song. So I'm just gonna go here, do 2 bars, loop it until I get the crash at a good volume. I'd actually rather do it near the hook, not in the verse, because sometimes I automate the verse crashes to be a little bit less in volume. That sounds good to me. What about this other crash? All right, since we got 2 crashes happening at the same time, mostly each time, I'm gonna spread this one wide. I have a default for that. I go to delay, sample delay, and then if I delay the right one by 512 samples, it splits them both into 2 halves. And then, so this will be only on the left and the right and not in the middle. And then this other cymbal will be in the middle. But sometimes the cymbal will mask the vocals, so I kind of don't want it to be directly in the middle either. So I'm just gonna widen it a little bit by using this wider plugin. If I can remember who makes it. There we go, Polyverse. And I can just spread it out just a little bit, just to get away from the vocals and to be in its own space a little bit. Sounds pretty good to me, actually. Okay, this one's probably a bit loud. I'm gonna lower it the same amount as this one because I trust that they balanced it pretty well. And gotta introduce this other crash as well. So I'm just gonna cycle this whole section and make sure when the crashes hit, they all sound good. This one sounded out of place. So I'm making a mental note as well that this crash is going to need a lot of reverb because it just sounds kind of dead by itself. But adding reverb would help a lot. But I don't do that yet. I'm going to do it later in a later step. And again, instead of being directly in the middle, let me take this wider and apply it to this crash as well. So now both of these crashes are the same width, and they never really play at the same time anyway. So the crash stays in the same spot of the mix, even though it's two different crashes. This might be another production thing that I might just mute these crashes, but I'm going to keep them from now. If they get on my nerves later, then I'll just mute them. It could just be because they're dry that they don't have reverb, but I don't really see the point in putting a crash there. So we'll see. I did the claps, I feel like, already. So I got a couple more drums and then some risers, and then I'm done with the initial balancing of the mix. So let's go through, I think this is a drum fill. Yeah, it's like a percussion fill. So let's just get a good volume on that. Already pulling a right by a little bit, so you can hear it clearly. I think I can go a little lower. That feels pretty good. All right, now the next fill. Yeah, I feel like this one could be a little louder. Okay, so the beginning is really soft, but the end is loud enough. So I'm gonna go back and just judge the ending, and then I'll be able to compress the beginning later when I'm doing compression. Okay, that feels balanced. All right, and now we're gonna add the tambourine. Okay, great. Now I just have like 3 or 4 more instruments to do the volume balance, and we're done. We're done with the initial balance. And then we'll go into compression and EQ and all that stuff. All right. Again, if you're live with me, go ahead and ask me any questions you want to ask. I'll be answering questions, not just explaining what I'm doing. If you've got any, just let me know and I'll answer the questions.
Hands can sing, they can say almost anything like colors in.
I feel like that chime is a bit loud, but not crazy. It's really close.
Hands can sing, they can say almost anything like colors in the air. Hands can
That's pretty good. All right, now what about this uplifter, this riser? Let's see what that sounds like.
Our hands can talk, our hands can sing, they can say almost anything.
Really close, but I think a little loud.
Our hands can talk, our hands can sing, they can say almost anything like colors in the air. Our hands can talk, our hands can sing, they can say almost.
That's better. Let me go up like half a dB.
Our hands can talk, our hands can sing, they can say.
Nice, I like that. Now we'll see what this other riser sounds like.
Our hands can talk, our hands can sing, they can.
Okay, it's like a layer texture. I'm just gonna make it the same volume that this one was, because that's how they liked it balanced, and I like the balance of their mix. It wasn't bad at all. All right, so let's see.
Our hands can talk, our hands can sing, they.
Yeah, that sounds good. And then this last uplifter, and then the atmosphere after that.
If you wave your hand, if you wave your hand,
A bit loud.
if you wave your hand, you're saying. If you wave your hand, if you wave your hand, you're saying.
Sounds pretty balanced. And then the atmosphere, I'm gonna go to the end where there's more instruments playing and see if I can get that balance sounding good. But first I gotta know what it is. I really don't know what the sound is yet, so I'm gonna option S and listen to it solo first. So this sound is moving a lot of different places. It's swelling and things like that. It's a dope texture. So this one I'm just gonna kind of let it just live wherever it lives in the mix, since it moves around so much. I just don't want it to get in the way of anything else. So let's just get a decent volume. And the way to do that is just to turn it up too much and then turn it down until you think it's cool. Nice. It sounds like I can hear pretty much everything at a decent volume. Don't have to struggle to hear any parts, which is a great sign. So I'm gonna listen to the whole thing at this low level, and then I'm gonna listen to it louder, and then just make whatever adjustments I hear that are popping up, because I want mixing is about balancing, so I want everything to be balanced, balanced in a way that I think is pleasant. So, and if it's balanced soft and it's balanced loud, it's at a good starting point. And then now I'm just really gonna be just tweaking the things that don't sound good, you know, like, or things that disappear when I want them to stay in the forefront. So that'd be compression. Things that are too bright will jump out at me. Now I can, instead of going to the volume knob and the EQ and going in circles, I'm just gonna worry about the EQ because I know the volume is decent. It's at a good spot. Will I touch some volume knobs? Probably, but the objective after that, after we get this settled, the objective will be to not have to move more than 2 dB at a time on any track, you know? So, but we'll see how it goes. But I'm just going to play this real quick and get a general balancing on everything. Play it once soft, play it once loud, and then that'll be it.
If you wave your hand, you're saying hello. Cross your arms like a hug, and your love will show. Nod your head up and down if you mean yes, but shake your head gently when it's no. Our hands can talk, our hands can sing. They can say almost anything.
Felt like that crash was a little loud.
Our hands can talk, our hands can sing. They can say almost anything. Like colors in the air, they shine. We're learning how to sign. Blow a kiss from your chin. That's thank you, dear. Touch your fingers together. More is here. Move your hands side to side. That's all done. Hands are a language for everyone. Our hands can talk, our hands can sing. They can say almost anything. Like colors in the air, they shine. We're learning how to sign. Our hands can talk, our hands can sing. They can say almost anything. Like colors in the air, they shine. We're learning how to sign. Inside. They shine, we're learning how to sign. Inside. Learning how to sign.
All right, let me just go double check these backgrounds again.
Love will show. Nod your head up and hug, and your love will show. Nod your
Okay, it's too early for me to be doing automation, so I'm gonna put this back to where it was. Let me just undo. Okay, it was -4. Okay, put it back to -4, and I'll just have to automate this louder, likely, when we mix it.
we're learning how to sign.
Because I think these were okay. Let's see.
Love will show. Nod your head.
Yeah, so that's just a masking thing. There's more instruments playing, so it's okay to go up to automate a dB or 2 or 3 dB. If you got to automate like 6 dB, there's probably something going on in your mix that's much louder at one part of the mix than the other part. So just beware. When you're automating, you shouldn't have to automate too much to get the difference you need. Okay. So that's the soft listen. Gonna listen to it one more time and make any adjustments that I hear on a loud listen. So I'm gonna turn my music up and give it a listen loud.
If you wave your hand, you're saying hello.
And that fill was a bit loud. But I don't know if you noticed, I also grabbed the kick and the bass and did the volume knobs. Well, turned the volume down on those a bit. I feel like those two were just a little hitting a little too hard, a little too loud, and we want a balanced mix. And if once we get to mastering, if those two are too loud, it's going to eat up too much space, and we're not going to get the song loud enough, and it's just going to cause a lot of issues. When the bass is too loud, it eats up so much space in your mix. But you got to be real careful about the bass instruments and the instruments that carry low frequency energy. All right, so the other thing I wanted to do was there's a little click at the end of this that I'm hearing when the song ends. So I want to address that real quick. Easy way to do that is highlight any track that's playing at the end and then just do a quick little soft fade out. Trying to look and visually see which instrument it could be, but I don't see anything. So I'm just gonna do a quick fade and see if I hear it now. Okay, it sounds better. And this fill is still a bit loud. Let me turn it down. There we go. And that's it. So that's the first stage of mixing for me. I like to get everything at a good balanced level. I like to do it dry with no reverb, no added reverb. If there's reverb on the instruments already, it's so be it, it's fine. But there's like the drum fills have no reverb on them, and there's the claps have no reverb on them. Different things like that that I need to probably add some space to. And then the vocals are dry, but I have plugins. I have a plugin change for Sarah since I've worked with them before, so I'm just using their default and tweaking a little bit. So the plugins kind of remain the same, but the settings change on every song because it just depends on the key, how it was sung, how it was recorded, all that stuff. So no template is gonna work for every situation, but it's a good starting point. And so basically, I just like to get the volumes at a good level. I like to do it no reverb, no delays, and no automation. Those are my only like rules for no. If I hear something that's EQ'd so badly that I need to change it now, I'll usually just do it. But other than that, I'm looking for panning and volume knob edits to get it at a good volume. This mix already sounds pretty decent, so now it's just up from here. As long as you don't mess it up, it only goes up from here. But staying organized and all that stuff is great with mixing. And I think I'm good. I checked at a low volume, checked at a high volume. Everything sounds pretty decent. So now my next go around, I'm going to build from the bottom up, bottom frequencies, kick and sub. And I'm just going to just build the song up and every single track, make sure it sounds good by itself and sounds good in the mix. More importantly, sounding good in the mix. But yeah, so I'm going to go through one by one and build it up until we got a full mix with automations, reverb, delays, and all that stuff. If you want to check out my full mixes, I got a bunch of them on my Patreon. Well, I have a few of them on my Patreon right now. I got a bunch of them to edit and then put on my Patreon. And then on my YouTube channel as well. So YouTube has usually part 1 or 2, and then Patreon will have all the parts. So just check me out on there, and then I'll be going live all the time on here as well, just showing you bits and pieces of my working day. And if you want to work, hit me up in my DMs on on Instagram or TikTok or anything like that. And then also, I have a website, kofiajmusic.com. I posted it in the comments I pinned it in the comments. And so just check it out. My website, they have a price calculator, goes through, discusses everything how I work and everything. Also, last thing, not every, but a lot of Wednesdays and a lot of Sundays, I'll be hosting some private webinars, explaining my process, explaining how I go about booking clients, all of that. So if you want to work with me, I'll explain the process, how to book a time with me, all that stuff. Virtual, you don't have to live in LA. You can live wherever you are as long as you have the internet. We can work together. I produce, mix, master, engineer. And so if you need any of that help, hit me up. My website, kofiajmusic.com. And this Wednesday is the first webinar. So I have a few spots available. I think like 15 spots available for that. And yeah, if you want to join it, I'll be explaining the whole process and you'll learn how to work with me. Till next time, I'll catch y'all later. Kofi J signing out.